So the Ifta program, Takhassus fil Ifta, we just want to try to avoid the whole mufti name because that's a bit intoxicating sometimes. Once you have that title, you just think you've got it, you're done, you're sorted. So what we want to do is we want not just to create a few more muftis on the street. What we want to do is we want to create specialists. That's the whole idea. So us as the teachers, we want to just create a facilitation, a place where they can come and study, bring in experts, so that the students who are here can become specialists, go way beyond where we are. Right? Go way beyond and become complete specialists. That's the whole idea. So it's a 2-year program. Generally, in a number of other places, a 1-year program. We want to keep this as a 2-year program. And the whole idea of this is that they become confident enough to look into the source books and then to provide a response. One of the biggest complaints that I get, and which I sometimes use as an excuse as well, somebody asks you a question that you're not confident about. What do you say? I'll look into it. I'll do some research. I'll call me later. Now you can give that answer once or twice, but if you do that all the time, then what relevance do you hold anymore? So there was a number of places that I go, and that's the biggest complaint that people have, and I know I'm part of that as well. But that I said, why are you asking me that question? You've got so and so, so and so, and so and so in your area, right? No, they always say, we'll tell you later, we have to look into it, and they never give you an answer. So what's the point of having an ifta if you can't do it? Just don't call yourself a mufti, nobody will come to you then. That's simple. You want the title, but you don't want the effort. It's an effort, believe me, it's an effort. Sometimes for a simple issue, 2 hours of your time are taken, and you're not being paid for that. And now in this modern world of capitalization where everything matters, time is money, and like you use everything for money, you just wonder, like I'm spending 2 hours on this issue. Right, so for the Ifta program, this is inshallah, we don't have the whole syllabus in front of you, but these are the main areas that we're going to be dealing with. Right, and I'll show you how this is different from probably any other Ifta program that I know of so far, because we made it specifically for here. A lot of this stuff is similar. Usul al-fiqh, qawa'id al-fiqh, usul al-ifta, right, how you give fatwas, right, what you have to look at, what kind of riwayat, because in our Hanafi madhab what you have is you have various different levels of riwayat. You have the zahir riwayah, then you have the nawazil, then you have the fatawa, and you have the mutun. So there's a hierarchy that you have to observe. That typology needs to be observed. So there's a method. You can't just say, oh, that's what it says I've seen it in Fathul Qadir. That's not enough. It has to be looked at as in a wholesome manner to see what is I remember once in Saharanpur, we got a question. So I looked in Fatawa Hindiya, and mashallah, I found the particular ibara that was relevant, and I wrote my answer based on that. That was the biggest mistake I made. Because when the Ustad read, he says, you've only looked at Hindiya. Look at the others. When you look in Shami Ibn Abidin rahimahullah, he's actually quoted this, he's criticized it, and he's mentioned the other opinion. You can't just give a fatwa based on one thing you see. So if you're teaching Hidayah, for example, and you study Fathul Qadir as the shar, right, that's not enough to give a fatwa from, because that may not be the qawl for fatwa. Right? It's others. That's what Hanafi madhab is quite extensive. There's one scholar in Syria, when I was studying there, he was a Shafi'i scholar. He was in a bookstore, and he was a really nice guy to speak to. And then he started studying Hanafi fiqh. And this is one thing, this was his observance. He said, to become a master in Shafi'i fiqh, it takes you 2 years. If you work hard, you can be a master of Shafi'i fiqh. The reason is that it's usul based, primarily usul based. If you understand the usul, and then it's just easy to apply them. That's why sometimes you get some weird rulings. For example, if those of you remember usul al-shashi, in usul al-shashi there's a mas'ala that is quoted from the Shafi'is, that if a person had zina with a woman and he had a biological daughter from her, technically he could marry her, because she's the daughter of his mazniya, as he calls it. The honor of nikah is not provided to them, and thus she's not really his daughter. That just seems, I couldn't even believe, I thought it was just the Hanafis having a poke at them, taking a shadh opinion of them. But I did consult a Shafi'i scholar, and that's exactly what it is. It's a very straightforward usul based madhab in that sense. Of course, it's not as simple as that, but where the Hanafis, he said, it will take you 20 years to master it. The reason is that we are primarily furu' based. Our usul came afterwards. So while our usul help to kind of understand the underpinnings behind a masail, but you really have to know a lot of furu'. And that's what it is. So then we're going to be studying selections of these main books within that. Research methodology and the Ifta process in depth. Attaining proficiency, inshallah, in research and answering questions. And once you understand this, you can do research in any topic, in any subject. Because the whole research methodology we want to impart, as opposed to just how to do it for fiqh. It's just the research, how not to leave any stone unturned. Don't just give a quick fatwa or a quick answer, a quick judgment, but to look at everything, and that's what makes a good scholar out there. Even in the PhD academics, the best scholars are those who have read everything on that topic. They've read everything on that topic. They've not left anything. You can't say, hey, but what about that? They've read it and they've dealt with it, and they'll tell you they've dealt with it. That's what you do. And inshallah, as we did in Saharanpur, in 1 year they make you do between 500 to 600 fatwa in 1 year. So inshallah, in 2 years we should have a good 1,000 fatwas, we hope, inshallah, of answering. And the way we intend to do it here is very different from many other madaris. We're doing the Saharanpur style, which is you take one chapter and the students will answer questions based on that chapter. So by the end of that chapter, you've got a good understanding of that chapter, especially the main ones that you're going to be dealing with on a day-to-day basis. Helps hugely. Now, in terms of the second year, this is where the program is a bit unique. What we want to do in this case is, as you said, we want to create specialists. So we want you to be here for 2 years in the Mufti program. So these are the areas that we have identified that there is a special need for specialization. That if somebody can pick 1 or 2 of these areas and just become a master in that topic. So for example, if you take the first one, Islamic bioethics, medical ethics, medicine, end of life issues, medical ingredients, tadawi bil haram, and the various stoma bag problems, leakage, chronic disorders, purity, impurity issues, everything related to the hospital, medicine, and bioethics. It's a massive area. It's a massive area, and you need somebody pretty much full time to deal with all of those aspects in there, because all of these areas have just become extremely extensive. Islamic family law, marital law, this is marriage, divorce, etc. All of that. I mean, that's okay. People are already doing that, but that's another area. Citizenship, integration, and political issues. I mean, starting from are you allowed to vote, to can you be a magistrate? How far can you take part in an interfaith program? How far can you get into politics? And just numerous other issues related to that, right? Of course, there's women issues, very important. Don't look at that astronomy and prayer times. That's the last issue that we're... Though we need experts on it, because unfortunately a lot of the so-called debate that's taking place, it just seems to be heritage debate, opinions that they're holding on to without really understanding the issue. I doubt if the majority of such people have actually... There are a few, but the majority have actually understood astronomy and have actually undertaken a study of it. So if we can, inshallah, do that, that would be something. Islamic food and dietary law, massive area on its own. Right? Ingredients, chemical reactions, molecular change, transformations, massive area on its own, just to understand that. Of course, Islamic inheritance law, Islamic trade and commerce, that's one area, mashallah, we've got lots of experts in there. It's a very lucrative field, and that's why I think the majority of experts are in that field, if you notice. Well, everybody's an Islamic finance expert, and anybody new, I don't think there's even any place for them anymore, because there's people sitting in all of these bank boards, and you get a lot of money in that, right? A lot of the other stuff is a thankless job. The only thanks you get is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the person you help. But that's really what's going to matter, inshallah.